I guess really when it started was under Reagan, and deregulation accelerated under Bill Clinton, when we presented a lie to the people of America, especially the Rust Belt, where we said, okay, we're going to send your jobs overseas, but trust us, you're going to get richer as a result. Like, it didn't make any sense. You're not going to have a job, but it'll be better. We promise you. Learn to code, right? That was the one thing that you were allowed to say back then. You're not allowed to say learn to code anymore, because it's now journalists and the elite losing jobs. So you're not allowed to tell them to learn to code. But back then you used to just say learn to code. But that was a lie. That was never the truth. And so what had to step in to cover up that lie was the money printing. So our monetary system became a lie to cover up the lie of not producing any wealth and manufacturing.
It's an easy thing to do to cover up the shortcomings in an economy by extend and pretend, right? So the maturity date on all these corporate bonds gets extended further out. The maturity date on U.S. debt, they try to extend it out. Like Argentina, they introduced a 100-year sovereign bond, right? That's extend and pretend. And that's happening all over the world. And the negative interest rate bubble is now over 19 trillion, approaching 20 trillion. The indebtedness of the globe is 300% of the global GDP, call it roughly $90 trillion. And it's all fueled by this incredible belief, this in fairy dust, in the fiat money. See, it's very condescending to go to an average American worker who takes pride in their work and to say, look, we don't want you to work anymore. We're going to give you funny money, wampum, coupons, the funny money. And that shows that the social contract is completely obliterated, because the average person wants to become self-sovereign and work and be productive. They don't want the paper nonsense from the government to come in there. That's a repudiation of the social contract. And that's why we see, I open my Twitter feed, and all I see from coast to coast is protests. And that's all the result of printing too much money. And people are going to, not be happy with this.
We're at the point now, 50 years, we're heading into the 50th birthday of the US dollar, fiat standard around the world. And it makes sense that we would be installing a president who started his political career right then, in 1972, just as, we only came off the US, the gold standard in the end of 1971. So he comes in 1972, right at the beginning of 72. So he's there from the beginning, and he doesn't really remember any of it, right? On the one hand, it's a problem if you forget your lies, right? But if you forget them big, if you go big, like Biden can, because of, his situation. So if you go big with forgetting, that's a very American trait. It's a Yankee Doodle Dandy way of doing it. You might want to look at the data and the charts. This is a remarkable bit of information here. M1 money supply has increased yet another $210 billion in the week between November 23rd and November 30th, on top of the $500 billion the week prior. That's over $700 billion in just 2 weeks. M1 money supply of the United States has increased by 64.5% since the beginning of 2020. There is no history for this. None. Certainly no history in the United States, perhaps in like Zimbabwe or Venezuela, but not in the United States.